how do you keep this whole show feeling fresh after doing it for 30 years? That's when Kathy hopped on the mic. Hey, Mama.
Hi, baby.
Come on in.
Oh my gosh, okay.
What were you bumping on the speaker?
Just some selection.
Yes, I've been listening to Selection all day.
Oh my gosh, me too. Happy Saturday, happy sweetest day.
Happy sweetest day, Mama.
Happy this is the day the Lord has made.
Let us rejoice and be glad.
Woo! So what were you filming?
So I'm filming a story about the hip hop show Taylor and I went to. Specifically the creator, her name is Kathy Music Woods, and she reinvented herself later in life.
Okay.
And she saw a new opportunity when she saw hip hop dancers for the first time in 1993.
Okay.
And decided to use her love for classical music and theater and combine it with giving these kids who are hip hop dancers the skills they need to perform in front of a crowd to then make a living off of hip hop dancing. And she was like, if you give me the chance to teach you how to dance to classical music, drop your egos, we can eventually use this for hip hop dancing. And this was 30 years ago. And what I saw last week was the accumulation of multiple generations.
Culmination.
I
think
culmination.
Because you could say accumulation, like you've accumulated all this stuff.
Yeah.
But the culmination is the meeting and marrying of both. I believe culmination would be the best word for what you're saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The culmination of doing that and refining it for 30 years.
Whoa.
What's crazy is I ended up sitting next to her. I didn't know. When I first walked in, there was an old lady in a kimono and a rhinestone hat. And I was...
Of course you sat next to her.
Exactly. And so...
Like, that would be my mom right now if she could be.
Her name is Kathy Music Woods. Kathy Music Woods. Her middle name's Music. I don't know if that was born or not, but still a cool name. Really, what I'm trying to pull out is like her superpower of what she did. You know, what made her so relevant when she's at an age when people say you're irrelevant, yet she's being a mentor and contributing to hip hop culture. You know, she was mentoring one of the members of the USA Olympics breakdancing team, which is the newest and most innovative sport in the world.
What?
Yes, that's how I found out it was her when she went up and gave the Olympics guy for breakdancing, the sport which was this year for the first time in the world. She gave him a big endearing hug, like the one Nani would give us.
Wow.
And the moment I saw those two, I was like, how does she get here? You know, how do you get that contribution? And counterintuitively, it has nothing to do with her love for hip hop. It was solely just her wanting to help, being inspired by the energy of these hip hop dancers and kind of relating it to her own love for classical music and theater and merging the two, which led to a very innovative performance. I mean, her Fly Dance Boys remembered about an hour of performance, and each hip hop dance, like it was delivered through like a story. It was delivered through storytelling because of the use of theater. So they were doing dances, but they'd be like doing like stories.
Oh my God.
It was so innovative. And so what I am trying to parse out is, what is her superpower? And I think that superpower is, having fresh ideas.
Okay.
And to have fresh ideas, you really need to think differently. You need to slow down and look around for the things that other people don't notice. You know, your unique lens is what makes you so special and what makes you so valuable.
I agree.
That's why companies hire me, for the things that I see that others don't notice.
Yes.
And what that led to her, in that moment of seeing those, think about in 1993, she's an old lady. Think about just a typical old lady. She's an elderly lady. She's an elderly lady.
Think about seasoned woman. I don't think we want to be called older woman. We're seasoned.
She's seasoned. Thank you.
We're well defined.
See, this is the coaching I need on this. Think about a seasoned lady. Seeing people, a group of young, rambunctious boys who look nothing like her. Instead of being intimidated, she saw them for who they were and what they could bring.
That's beautiful.
And their true value, and decided to collaborate with them.
And you got to talk to her?
She just did a Q&A.
Okay.
She just did a Q&A.
But you didn't even know who she was when you were talking.
I didn't know when I was squeezing past her to get to my seat that it was the founder of the thing. I kind of rushed in and was a little bit like forceful, rushing my way through. And at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was so humbling because I never would have anticipated this older lady being the founder of this whole hip hop show. And so I really, I think the superpower that we can do is, really protecting, slowing down, seeing our fresh perspective, because that's the path that will then bring us to this life where you can provide your own unique contribution in the long term. You know, she really crossed this niche thing, which is classical music and hip hop, but doing it in the betterment of others, fueled by her love for the art, created us a sustainable life where she was the most popular person in the room at 60 years old.
That's so beautiful. That's so inspiring. I'm telling you, we don't get old. There is nothing about getting older. It's getting better, more refined, knowing what you want. I remember when I was working, went back at home for Cinnamon, and I had a customer, and I was like, I'm so hot, I'm getting hot flashes. She goes, no, honey, you don't get hot flashes, you get power surges. I'm like, I love that. I felt surges. So powerful. I'm like, that's right, I got power surges. Yeah. And I like just, you know, I'm like, I will never forget that lady. Shout out to her. I mean,
it's so true, you know.
Just the lens, like you said, the lens you see it in.
I'm rereading the book called Ikigai, which is, Ikigai is the Japanese secret to a happy living, all about your purpose. That's what the book is about.
Okay.
And the chapter I've stopped on right now, I've just stopped on the title page. Okay. And the title page is The Art of Staying Young.
Yes.
And that's really what it is. Your goal is to protect your childlike spirit, to stop having so many rules, because then rules can help you, but they also box you.
Yeah.
So staying flowy, knowing when to drop them. And yeah, I totally agree. You know, today, Taylor and I had the photo shoot, and the guy that took our photos, I thought he was in his 20s. I thought he was 20, 22 years old. He's talking, he's like, yeah, I'm 32. And once he said that, I kind of like now looked at him as if he was 32, and it made sense. But the reason I thought he was so much younger is because of his energy when he came in. He was just so youthful and so young, and I want to try things. And I'm not positioning myself over you as if I'm 32. I'm coming in just like here, you know, for whatever it has to bring me, meeting us where we are. And it's crazy how his energy alone made me think he was younger.
I love that.
And it's the same thing with you. You know, what I've realized more while we've been apart for so long, and what I've realized now that we're settling back in on our own spaces and I can just observe in a different way that I can observe when I visit you back home, is noticing that you have protected your childlike spirit and energy in such a pure way. That's why that one time I was like, Mom, I love you. You're awesome. You're awesome. And you're like, why are you saying that? And I was still trying to comprehend that, but it's because I can just see you protect that childlike spirit in a way that is so admirable and is the most worth it thing. Forget any other metric of success. You know, we're all, you know, they say we're all going to end up 6 feet under, buried in the ground. No matter, your possessions don't come with you. And so when you look at it from that perspective, I mean, you have the best thing you can take with you until the very last seconds.
Oh, thank you. It was the best son God could ever bless me with, that's for sure.
Thank you, Mama.
Have. Oh my God, you're so sweet. You know, it's funny. It's like I am now aware of the term childlike spirit. I actually used that with your sister the other day. But before that, like for me, it's just like I'm so happy every single day, so grateful to God to be awake. Regardless, I'm, you know, like I was up every hour last night, every 45 minutes. Like I'm not sleeping well. It doesn't matter. I wake up, I'm in Houston, 25 feet from my son and his fiance. It's gorgeous outside. I get up, I get to borrow your e-bike. You know, one of your...
Hey, it's a good moment to pause and reflect. You know, these are the beautiful interludes of life. You know, you know my album Interludes? How you know, pause and...
He had a lot to say. I mean, he had to get it out, clearly.
Yeah, train's got to do that.
I get so many compliments on your bike, you know, and I talk to people I learned that from you too. Like a lot of times I love people, but sometimes I'll pause, but I don't do that. I always think about you. It's like, I want to get to know that person. Like if they're interesting, I love telling people, oh, that's a great scarf. That's a great whatever. But people always compliment the bike. So
yeah,
I was reflecting today and telling them, like, yeah, I said, my son lets me borrow this bike. I'm like, that was the first thing he bought when he graduated with his master's. He said, when my very first bonus check, I'm buying an E7 or a Super 73. I said, I'm just blessed enough to be able to borrow and ride it here because he has a different one. And it just makes all the difference. Like how grateful and blessed are we I don't have a job right now. I'm not sure where I'm going to work. I'm okay with it. I'm not worried about it. I came here with the stuff in my car, in my back seat, whatever fit. Got rid of 90% of my possessions, all my jewelry, all my clothes, except for a few things.
Yeah.
Didn't have a place to stay, and it worked out. God is good. I mean, think about that. I am here in the place from the very first day that I laid my head.
I mean, Mom, we could have never
Do you
seen us
understand?
being here. I mean,
Never.
even just me just being able to film a video and you just pop up, just casually fly by on an e-bike. I mean, we're so
It's not
blessed.
planned. It's just, I was here for hours in the bayou, and I was so lucky to be able to see you still here. I mean, this is a gift. This isn't like you told me. I say so many words for me. I feel like it's like when kids grow up, they're your little ducklings. You guys were my ducklings, right? You parroted everything I said and did. It was so cute. Now I'm like a little Kenny parrot. I was telling someone today. I was talking. I met a gentleman named Juan today. Shout out to Juan. So cool.
Hey.
He was like, because he complimented me on the bike.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the bike, and then, we were talking, and he was saying something. I said, yeah, all we have is, because he's like, it's so beautiful. I'm like, yeah, all we have is right now. Right now is the only thing that's promised. You've said that. This is it right here.
Right.
Nothing else is promised.
This is our world. This is all
This
we're
is it.
guaranteed. So
Love
it's
it.
great to actually pause, because that's my issue. Is I've had purpose anxiety.
Okay.
Have I told you what purpose anxiety is?
Well, I can imagine what I think it is.
Yes.
But I would love
Here's
for you to
the
share.
dilemma. Here's what the full range of what you go through in purpose anxiety. It's
Okay.
okay. We're brought up with, we each have our own unique contribution. So I'm trying to find this one unique contribution that, by the way, there's 7 billion people, but you have your one. Okay, you got to find it. On top of that, it has to impact other people.
Okay.
It has to you also have to, find a way to make a living off of it. You have to way to do it, maybe monetize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And, even if you do that, that's not enough, because once you die, well, you have to leave a legacy. It has to be, even when you're dead, you have to still put that impact. And so I'm always so focused on that. And what I have learned is, and what's been so fruitful lately, is just pausing to appreciate the moment.
Yeah.
And, not having any cherished outcomes, and just pausing and just relaxing and stop rushing up to the next thing.
Right.
I loved the quote when I found it, because I know that you've always hated rushing.
I hate rushing.
And it was the quote that was, the older I get, the more I believe the true definition of luxury is not having to rush.
Yes. I remember you sharing that quote with me. And that is we're so aligned in so many ways. That's always been my thing. Like, just stop. Like, I remember Auntie D told me 30 years ago, she's like, look at the sky God drew for us today. Every day it's different. Every day he draws a different sky. It's different colors. There's different clouds, if any. I mean, just stop and think of that. Like, who even thinks of that every day? Some people just go throughout their
We're
whole
so
day
blessed.
looking.
That's the things, you don't realize a lot of how blessed we are until you get it taken away from you. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday who went to jail for about a year.
Okay.
And he's like, the hardest part about jail, he's like, the jail I was in was actually harder than prison, because in the jail, we never got to see sunlight. Where in prison, you get to go to the yard, see sunlight. He's like, that was the hardest part by far. Never got to see the sun or the sky.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, he was
They
there for
don't
about a
go
year.
outside?
They didn't, whatever it was, they had to stay in there. So they had like larger blocks, but it was all inside.
Wow.
They didn't have those at prison yards. So
I've never heard of that. I thought
So-
you had to go outside.
so think about, I mean,
This is glorious. This is glorious. I would do anything to get Nani to come, even for a weekend. I know we're never going to get her to move out here.
Nani, yeah, I know.
She needs to understand. She needs to sit at the bayou and people watch for 5 minutes.
Well, and that's another thing, when I started off this video, I was telling a story about how last week I was rushing and I was maxing out the speed on this thing. I'm going 30 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, it was probably literally right here, and I didn't even mean to set up the camera here. A bunny runs out in the trail, and I'm going 30 miles an hour, and he runs out to the point where if I would have slammed on my brakes, I would have flown over the handlebars. And I had big speaker on the back of the bike, and I had my MacBook, and I'm essentially bracing for impact, because I'm like, I can't slam on the handlebars, so I'm gonna have to hit him. Or I'm like majorly injured, and his survival instincts kicked in. He like double jumped out the way somehow. He knew the seriousness of the situation instantly, because animals are usually present, whatever. Jumped out of the way, and what was so memorable was the instant juxtaposition of the rushing mindset I had to now I was like so grateful to just be here versus the alternate universe where I hit the bunny and I fly and I'm now hurt and I'm so far behind and now my whole day is stopped.
Oh my God.
And so the rest of the day, I was walking around with this smile on my face. It what felt like almost secret knowledge of like, I shouldn't even be here right now.
You escaped, not death. Not near death, but a near big injury possibly.
And just the whole day, it went from I'm so far behind to I'm so far ahead. I'm so lucky. And I remember I was going to the gym right here. And before I got to the end, I was like, how lucky am I? And I'm playing that out. And I'm so lucky that so many different things, even you not meeting my dad the night you met my dad, I mean, you could take it so far, right?
Right.
And I was just thinking, I was like, man, how lucky am I? Now that I know how lucky I am, like, now you just bringing up Nani. Nani may never get to see this. She'll never get to know what is, the baby step forward that we took our family being here right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what would Poppy be doing if he was here? What would it feel like if I was on the trail with Poppy right now?
Oh my gosh.
I said when I knew you were on this trail running over here, and I said it felt like it was lighter knowing an angel is here riding on. And it's almost like
you're the angel.
And it's almost like thinking about, Poppy being next to us, but just how lucky am I that I get to live in luxury in 2024, riding an e-bike when, Nani and Poppy, I don't even know if they grew up with hot water on a daily basis. Like, and taking showers, hot showers.
I know that Poppy and his family used to take a horse-drawn carriage to church on Sunday.
He straight got riding a horse, and now I got horsepower on the e-bike.
Right, we have horsepower. He took a horse to church on Sunday.
And it's so much more luxurious. So, combining all of this and also staying present, which I feel like that when you hear like, when people are like, it was better back in the day, I feel like the one common thread between what people say was better back in the day was the fact that everyone was present, more present.
Okay.
And people were still distracted, but there was less distractions not in our pocket. And I feel like that's what people miss is people leaving their phones at home.
Yes.
Those balls where Nani and Poppy met, where they didn't have their phones. The purpose isn't to record it for whatever. It's just to enjoy it.
Yes.
And so now that we are picking up on the power, at least that I am picking up on the power of being present, I feel like we're so dangerous. You are so refreshing. You are the world's most dangerous thing. I mean, I feel like, most people your age are married and this or that, and you are free, so much opportunity, you not having a job, you being present. You're just so much opportunity. And so, this all has been a reminder for me to slow down and relax. Do you want to say the quote? Do you know the slow down quote? You've been practicing it.
Slow is smooth and
smooth is fast.
Woo! I love you so much.
I love you too, Mama.
You're the greatest son God could ever bless me with by far.
By far.
No question.
I'm the only one.